Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session
Be
we are
sure to
reviewing
stretch
a
before
gold
engaging in the
tracer.
readers
This
if you
is
are lucky.
Zygold just about plat. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out
Attackers
quite a
incoming
bit,
in
and I
30
really do
seconds.
appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. So we are set up on Tracer. McCree will be working with us as our DPS partner. Okay, we are going to check on our team before engaging. Good.
3, 2,
Hey Mentos, my
1.
day has been fine. What about
Attackers
yours?
incoming. Defend objective A.
McCree is immediately eliminated by Widow. It's unfortunate, but it gives us some information we need. Whoa now, whoa now. Okay, you have to decide how you're going to do this. Are you guys going to try to kite them and not fight them whatsoever until your crew's back? That's not really going to be an option. Like, it's going to take too long. Are you trying to wait until you see that the Widow swaps off? What's this back off that's going on here? Because I see they matched your Reinhardt a long time ago. You are ready to be in here right now. You are ready to be like, hey, the Widow can't see me. I'm coming in here from the side and I'm doing work type thing. Like, and you knew this already. So if we rewind, we can see, okay, your Reinhardt's backing up. That's fine. Oh, he just moved his hammer. I don't know why we're so far back. I don't know why we weren't hanging out like here-ish, ready to go. Hey, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready. Oh, now you can't see the red through the walls, but you can see your teammates through the walls. Oh, your Reinhardt looks like he's ready. Okay, now we might be thinking it's about time. We might let him get that first swing off to really make sure that the attention is anchored on him before we go in. But we want to be close to this fight. Now, if you make this decision to go into this fight, it's going to take you blinks and multiple of them to get there. The fight is happening. The fight is happening. We don't know what's going on. We don't know. We see now that the supports are in the appropriate place, but I have no idea. Is your Reinhardt pulling back right now? Okay. Shouldn't silver stacks be gold stacks by now? Perhaps, perhaps. Is this top left spot a good spot on Tracer to start the game, and why? It's a reasonable spot to start Tracer on, but he needed to shift down to like here-ish like they did. You can start the game here because it gives you access. Like height gives you access to multiple spots. You could go from here, you can blink, you can blink, you can blink. Like that's fine. You could go, hey, really it's just a transitionary period though of like you're staying here where it's relatively safe, and then you're going to transition down here to hit them from the side or hit them from behind, but probably hit them from the side as they're rotating through here. That's what you're looking to do when you start up here. You also get a little bit of ability of like if a Widow or someone transitions super early to here, well, you're right on top of them. But really we're expecting to do this, but we would have done this earlier. If we hear the Widow. Okay, so now we're choosing to solve the Widow problem. She doesn't know you're here. Get closer. You're playing this like she knows you're here. You're playing this at a range that isn't meant to eliminate her, but is meant to pester her, to be annoying to her. And we, at this point, when she doesn't know that we're here and when our team is down one and getting pushed and, you know, their team is committed in pretty hard, yes, I'm worried about the Widow, but we would like to actually, how shall I say, flirt with the idea of eliminating this Anna and not just pressuring her. And if that's the case, we're going to keep walking closer. We might even keep walking closer and then blink and try to one-clip type thing her. Like, yes, it's scary, she has sleep, she has nade, but we don't want to be doing mid-range tracer damage. Mid-range tracer damage like this is to shepherd people around, to move them, to force cooldowns, to make them go forward, perhaps get closer to our team where our team can handle them. And that's not worthless by any means, but that's something that you end up doing when you're a little lower on resources, when you were the person to start the engage, so you're the distraction and your team is sort of the finisher type thing. Like if it's a hammer and anvil type thing, your team is, how do I want to put this? Like, no, I'm not going to use that analogy. Basically, think of it like this. If they know you're there and they're already paying attention to you, you're usually just going to be getting value by going, hey, let me put some pressure on you, let me get some cooldowns out, let me shepherd you around, etc. And that's perfectly valid. If they don't yet know you're here, what you're looking to do is actually to try to force the elimination. And after you've given away your first shot advantage, your unknown advantage, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. Then you can perhaps downshift, or once your low run blinks, you can downshift into this I'm going to be annoying type thing. But you actually do want to try to get the elimination here. Time to blink with the widow shots, one clip and a press recall. I mean, that's an option, sure. I don't actually think you need to respect the Widow that hard. Like, yes, she's up here. Yes, she can hit the Ana potentially, but like, she's not really. Widows aren't really thinking about protecting their backline. Like, it's going to take her an instant to react to you. Your Tracer play is very tunnel visioned on going for eliminations, but that's hard because supports peel for each other, there's cooldowns that protect them, etc. Like, it's good to get eliminations. We like getting eliminations, but Tracer is so much more than just eliminations. Tracer has she can continue to play when she has one blink, when she's got 70% health. Like, she still has things she can do. When she's got people paying attention to her. The red Ana is the bigger anime fan. I don't want to stay here. Better. Oh no, we just recalled into the Widow's sightline? No thank you. Yeah, now you're trying to duel her. So again, now you're trying too hard to duel her. I wanted you to try hard to take her down when she wasn't aware you're here. You like left, used your recall, did all that stuff, and now you went back in with less blinks and when she was aware of you to try to be like, no, now I'm going to take her down. This is the exact opposite of what we want. Yeah, I need to cut that out. I do pressure tanks from buying cover lots. Well, that has some value.
I'm back.
You just have to make sure you have a more dangerous gear as well. Where are we going? You were fine going up alley. You were totally fine going up alley. You can go this way too, but the other path was fine. I would not have swapped. Better. There we go. Probably wouldn't have double blinked there. So I actually don't mind this. I don't mind this for two reasons. You're going, hey, I want to get lots of good damage on here. A better player would just drop and eliminate her, but that's fine. I don't mind you spending the first clip from up here. That's totally fine with me. And then you'll reload, and then you'll go down with your second clip, and you'll try to finish her, and if you don't, you'll recall back up. That's fine. I'm okay with that pattern of play right now. What I'm less okay with, why are we shooting at her feet? Like, she's not aware that we're here. We have all the time in the world to line up this shot. And I'm not saying you have to be like, oh, let me spend 6 seconds to absolutely make sure the beginning of the shot is going to be perfect, but this is rushed. There's no pressure on you. They're down their Genji already. There's no pressure on you right now. Line up your shot. Line up your shot. You should be getting headshots for this. Instead, you only get headshots for the second half. She could be a lot weaker. She's not going to be eliminated at this range, but she could be a lot weaker. And then you reload, drop, and finish her off. And maybe Mercy starts to heal her, but if Mercy starts to heal her and she's, down missing another, she's at a quarter health rather than 40% health, well, that's going to be a pretty big deal, and you can still potentially power through that Mercy healing if you're up in her face. You're not going to be able to power through the Mercy healing after a reload now unless Mercy's reactions are just really slow. So this is disappointing. No, you're just letting her get healed back up. That's unfortunate. Been a minute since you watched the before live stream. Hey Enrique, it has been a minute. Hope you've been well. Is it weird or wrong for me to think of Tracer clips like Doomfist cooldowns, 2 uses and get out? It's a little wrong. Because, again, you're thinking of them that way because you're thinking of clips as tied to blinks and you're trying to hide every reload in a blink. And if no one's paying attention to you while you're reloading, just reload in the open and then continue doing work. If you can reload behind cover, that's even better, but we're not going to spend blinks to hide our reloads unless people are actually paying attention to us. So that's probably why you're in that trap. And the correct way to think of her is no, not like Doomfist cooldowns. You can think of the blinks sort of like Doomfist cooldowns, I guess, but I wouldn't think of the reloads or the clips like that. Any tips on landing sleeps on recalling Tracer as Anna? Always be tracking where she was 3 seconds ago. I mean, that is the answer. You always track where she was 3 seconds ago so that you know where she is. There's no great secret to it other than that, and that doesn't really surprise you. Once you start getting better and once they start getting better, they'll be in places where you can predict where they're going to recall. Like, for example, up here, it's very predictable for a Tracer to go, aha, I'm going to drop, I'm going to do as much work as I possibly can, and then I'm going to recall right before my 3 seconds are up, so I end up here again. So you can go, okay, I'm doing this, you press recall, she's going to be there, even if you lost track a little bit, because you know that she's going to want to recall back to her high ground. There's things like that that you can predict, but your tracers have to be good enough to actually themselves be well tracking where their recall is, and that's not always true, unfortunately. Temporal needs more coffee. It's here. It's here. I have my coffee. But yeah, I do need to ingest more coffee. Maybe Val can suggest a good caffeinated tea as an alternative. That's fair.
Join me.
That was fine. Don't drop. Don't drop. Okay.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
You don't want the fight at that range? You're the better duelist than he is, but you don't want the fight at quite that range. Okay. Oolong is a great caffeinated tea and your favorite hot tea? Okay, Enrique. I do enjoy some tea. I could go for some tea. Going for this. She sees you. Blink. You see it. This here. You see this? You've got two tells going on. I find, personally, the more obvious tell is this elbow bend like this. I find this is her reaching for her waistband is really obvious to my eyes. But other people prefer to see, hey, she turned her weapon down like that. The useful one about she turned her weapon down like this is it also is a tell for grenades, but I find the sleep dart tell is more obvious, and particularly the arm. This means blink. It does. It means blink. Anytime she's close to lining up her crosshair on you, you blink. And where should you blink? Well, the most obviously blink would be right through her past her. You could also hit a diagonal blink, but your blinks are looking to be what's going to cause her to have to adjust her crosshair aim the most, because you will adjust aim onto her faster than she adjusts onto you, especially if you maximize how much she has to adjust after a blink. There we go. Let's go back here. You had 3 blanks.
Fire will.
Okay. Why aren't you blinking? Like, you're out of ammo, she's staring right at you, why haven't you blinked through her? That grab's not going to pull you in. Like, you should have blinked right through her. You have 3 blinks again. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't... You can't just let... Why are you trying to tank Zarya damage and then recall? Like, yes, it's appropriate once you start to take damage to potentially tank some more damage if you're then going to use recall like that, but... You have 3 blinks.
Let's
like,
try that again.
Okay. How are you still alive? Good question. She doesn't shoot melee or nade you, right? Like, she just stared at you. It was weird. It was weird.
This will restore you.
Preferably single blink. If you have to double blink for a dodge, you'd prefer not to do it, and you'd prefer to do the single blink as a dodge most of the time, and then if they reacquire, you go for the second blink. That's better than spending 2 blinks to make them move their crosshair once, even if it's going to be a bigger move. Except she didn't. She was staring right at the Tracer. That was the thing. Like, while Tracer was doing most of that reload, Anna was staring right at Tracer, but didn't take any shots, didn't throw out, a nade, any of that stuff. Okay, here we are. Let's get back to engagement timing, because I know Forrest wants some critique on that. So we can't see the opponents, but we can see our Reinhardt. Boom. That's a swing. That's a good sign that the engagement is potentially starting. On the other hand, positionally where that swing is tells us that we're probably in the wrong spot now, and we probably need to adjust to fight from over here, or maybe we spend a bunch of time and adjust to fight over here. But this isn't really the entry anymore, unless our Reinhardt then pulls back a little. And maybe he's just going up for the bubbled swing, so you could wait that out. Pulls back a little. And now he's clearly being pushed. So you have a moment. And now he's pushing back. You missed your moment. That was your moment. Oh, sorry, I have my teams mixed up. Sorry. My bad. You're right. You're right to be here. Let's get back into this. Sorry, guys. When you do a lot of replay reviews, sometimes you're blue, sometimes you're red. And every once in a while, I flip them in my head. Okay. So when your blue is getting pushed there, so you're sort of letting your weapon hide. I don't really like that your weapon is hiding blue and you can't see him, because your Reinhardt is one of the better tells for whether your team is ready to engage or not. So like right now, we hear a charge, we see our Reinhardt's being pushed. Why are we doing that? Okay, fine. Little late. So the blinks aren't to leave and go get health packs, the blinks are to not get hit. And you're spending a lot of time out of this fight. After you got the health pack, you could have just kept walking. Fine. Doesn't have sleep, you heard that. Why are you so far away? Do you not trust your aim at close range? Like, I get it, it's hard to aim at them right up in their face. A little bit of movement from them makes them fly wildly off your screen, I get that, but you do better damage. Like, you have a bunch of spread. You see all these bullets? You see all of these bullets that are missing? And your crosshair's on her. These bullets are missing because you have spread. Your spread becomes a problem as you get further away. You also run into fall off on Tracer. So like, stop it with this like medium short range stuff when you have 3 blinks, recall, full health. They're not yet aware that you're here. Get in there. Get in there. You can walk forward, you can walk until your single blink range and then do a single blink for offensive value because it is going to be like, boom, you're going to hit this. You know she doesn't have her sleep dart because you heard it used right before you opened on her. Like, this is great. This is an opportunity to take over. Yes, she potentially still has nade, but hey, she's down one of her 2 abilities. She's not aware you're here. You have absolute full resources. Great. That means you can invest a blink in getting right up in her, not even face here, but side here, and going, hey, pow, 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 we're going to shoot right there, crosshair, stick it in the shoulder, and win. Like, you just did this. She's not aware that you're here. You just spent your whole clip, and you did 50 damage to her. You know there's enough damage in your clip to do more than 200 health. Like, you can get, what, 240 out of your clip pretty easily without headshots if it's all right in them, something along those lines. Like, you have plenty of damage in your clip. You just have to be close enough that the pellets actually, you see all these pellets that are, look at this, boom, 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 there, boom, there, boom, boom. Look at all those pellets that are not hitting. That just makes us sad. Get closer so that the spread doesn't betray you. Yes, you still may miss some because she moves a little bit and you have to adjust because she's wildly off your screen when she moves, but it's still going to be better. And if it's not better immediately, it'll get better as you get better at it. This is always going to be the case. Not necessarily this bad, but this is always going to be a bit of the case where you're not going to be able to get her to 0 if you're attacking at this range. You might be able to more reliably get her to like here at this range. If you do it from above, you might be able to more reliably get her to like here, but you're not going to be able to get her to here unless you get in there. See, you're perfectly fine at close range. And that was against someone who was aware of you. Imagine if you'd done that on the Nice. Imagine if you'd done that on someone who wasn't aware of you. How much easier it would have been.
Back to work. Wicked.
You'd think Winston could design pistols with less spread if he can stop someone from teleporting. I mean, maybe he could design pistols with less spread. I'm sure he could, in fact. But what are you giving up in exchange? Are you want a slower rate of fire? Are you want less ammo? Or are you saying that you want them to be bigger and heavier to carry around? Like, what's your trade-off? Val recommends Longjing green tea. It costs more, but is unprocessed using traditional methods. It is light, stimulates appetite, rich in antioxidants, stimulates fat metabolism. Okay. Green tea is also used to wash face due to antibacterial property. Plus, you don't have antibacterial soap. Too much soap is bad for your skin. Okay. When making green tea, don't use boiling water. It's better to use 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, but sustain the temp to brew the green tea. It's only red or black tea that you use high temp. Okay. If Temporal has a public postal box, fan mail, I would post him tea. That's something that I might do in the future. Again, not big enough yet for it to make sense to maintain the cost of a PO box. Well, for a PO box that I'm not using for other business purposes. No, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. What's really blah? That would have deserved that?
Wicked.
You lost me. Oh, is really in response to too much soap is bad for your skin? That would make sense. Okay, so here you are.
You've got what's coming to you.
The PO box thing? That Val would send tea, or that I don't want to justify the expense for it? I mean, it's not like it's actually expensive, but it's just like doing the calculation. Yeah, whatever.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Double kill.
Speed kill.
Let's get back here. $47 for 3 months for a small PO box. I know, blah, but I don't feel like doing another one. Like it's not expensive to do PO boxes even remotely, and I agree, but I'm still not gonna do one unless I would be expecting more to happen there, and I don't want to use an existing one because the existing ones get used for, how do I want to put this? I mean, existing ones would be tied to test buys that would have to do test buys, and companies don't get happy when you anyway linked to stuff that I don't want to get into because it would be annoying for anyway, doesn't matter. So $15 a month, that's something like 3 Patreon tier 1 subs. There you go. Yes, blah. It would be a business expense. I understand how it works. But so far we've had one thing. That would, potentially go to this PO box. So I don't think it makes sense. Like 15 a month isn't very much, but 15 a month, that equation doesn't make sense when we're at that point. You can put it on my list, but I can tell you it's very near the bottom of the list. Like, it'll make sense in the future, it doesn't now. Okay, so we've taken the high grounds. Here we go. That was just too hopeful. So here you are, and you're like, I'm going to pulse bomb. Like, you just believed that he was going to punch you there. And that's not the best prediction in the world. What if I sent you a cool new scarf? Well, there you go. Now it's worth it. Merchandising is much higher on the list. But, yeah, sure. Okay, you're trying to force your way out here, and you really didn't want to. Like, you don't want to go this way. This puts you in the middle of the team. This isn't how you want to enter the enemy team. You wanted to, at this point, just go through this way, and you don't even have to use blinks. You can use one blink to get out if you want, but then you can walk, and that walking time is time that you regain blinks, and then you enter on this team from behind. You don't want to enter on this team in the middle like this. That's kind of the same as entering into this team through your Reinhardt. It puts you in the middle of the team. It's going to draw eyeballs to you. We don't really like it. I appreciate the thought, guys. An Overwatch kick? Okay. Pushing up the side, good. Wait, no, too early. Your Anna and Moira are over there. The Reinhardt's sort of messing with them, but it's like zero effort for these guys to turn. They're not like hugely interested. We gotta get them right now. Like, these guys aren't really under pressure yet, and the cart isn't in a place where you have to stop it either. We'll have a better moment. We will. We would have had a better moment. And if we were going to do this, we'd have gotten closer to them. We'd have maintained our high ground, but we'd have walked ourselves right up here and shot the Mercy type thing.
My shots find their mark.
You got what's coming to ya.
Okay. You gonna go right or left? You can't just stay there. Good. You've got the idea. Go through Mega. Now go left. You don't need to wait here. You don't. You're Tracer. You can afford to live behind them. They're not gonna catch you. Don't be here. Don't be here.
60 seconds remaining.
I sighted the enemy.
Why are you here? This was not as good. You're expecting your team to get pushed hard, and that's just not a good expectation. Like, your team has to lose ground before you can engage at this point, and we don't like that. You much better were going to be over here. And then you can push in as the other team pushes, even if your team doesn't lose ground. Even if your team pushes back into them, this was the much better engage. And if your team super pushed forward before the team fight started, or even as the team fight continued, you can then rotate up here and still have flank access to the team. This is just a worse spot. Where you're set up is for when, not that the cart is further, but when for you expect a team fight to take place further back. Like if you'd lost people on your team late and you expected the next team fight to be here, this becomes your appropriate flank to control. It's not though, because you guys wiped them and you really didn't lose any people late. Like, you guys didn't get anything done during that shatter, and that's really on you. Like, if you look at the shatter, he hit the shatter, and sure, they're Valking, and sure, a couple of them didn't get shattered, but enough of them did. If you'd come in from this direction, it would have been very hard for them to keep everyone up here. Like, too much pressure is still allowed to be delivered on your Reinhardt right here. This Doomfist should basically be eliminated by now, but you're shooting him from in front, so you're scared rather than the side. Yeah. Did you get stuck? Yeah, you just didn't know the terrain well enough. 2 blinks, you're standing still, you get haunted.
30 seconds remaining.
You'll somehow know about the bad things you do anyway. Maybe. I think Blah's onto something there, though. I think he's onto something.
Ready for battle.
Cavalry's here.
Ready for battle.
Scarf gives him Santa powers, so he already knows.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Tracer, you should be careful.
Okay, so Forest, we've got a couple things here going on. We have had some
I'm willing to take the risk.
we have had some engagement timing issues, and we can recognize that our engagement timing, we have to watch our Reinhardt more closely to read the engagement timing. That's going to help. We've also had some issues surrounding when we're going for that first engage, it should be lethal. That first engage, when they don't know we're there, that should be an attempt to actually remove someone. Not that obviously. Doesn't mean you always will, and if it starts to go bad or doesn't go as much as you like, that's fine. Then you downshift it into playing more of a distraction, more of a forced cooldown thing. But that first push in when they're not sure you're there, that should be more of a lethal attempt than what you're actually doing. You're playing for the distraction, that's fine at this point.
Enemy turret down. Back in the fight.
I'm okay with this. You could have walked forward more, but I'm okay with this. It's not a very serious angle. Sure. Better. I mean, do I want to get into crosshair placement here? Like, here you are, you go for this, you take this down. Like, your crosshair, even while reloading, should be a little more aware of where the enemies are. You're like, why is your crosshair over here while you're reloading? What is this doing for you at all? You want to be looking at the enemy. That gives you more awareness of, do you need to blink right now? Turns out you don't. You don't need to blink. We'd all expect that you'd have to blink after taking out this Mercy and reloading, but turns out you don't have to blink if you're looking at the opponents and are aware of this. And you don't. Okay. You don't blink. That's good. Though I don't know why you back off either. Like, you can get a little closer here if you want. Play on this corner. That said, I don't mind that you don't. The rare tracer body block. Okay.
Payload is secure. Move it out.
Yeah. You had to recall. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Walk it off.
I don't mind this. He discovered you. That's annoying. But you can see that your Reinhardt is still all the way back here. And you don't necessarily know where their Reinhardt is, except that you do know that their Hanzo is right here. So either their Reinhardt is way overextended, / their Hanzo is behind, or their Reinhardt is in this lane that the Hanzo can effectively protect by peeking, which is the most likely case. Reinhardt is holding this corner. So you do have the context clues to make a pretty reasonable conclusion. If that's your conclusion, it's not yet time to go up here because there's this distance between the two Reinhardts. So it's not yet time to engage. So you can just chill. You're good. And now you saw the Roadhog. What are you doing? Why are you forcing a fight on a Hanzo that's aware of you? I don't want this. I don't want this remotely. I especially don't want this when my team isn't yet brawling with their front line. You're not distracting Hanzo right now. You're not, because Hanzo doesn't plan on contributing to this anyways. You see this? These guys haven't actually met yet. They're not actually fighting over this corner yet. So this isn't useful distraction time where, oh, well, at least they're Hanzo and Mercy. I'm 1v2ing, and these two aren't contributing to the frontline battle, so my team will win the front line. No, it's a good second and a half before the frontline battle happens. You're probably only going to last 3 seconds, 4 seconds. So you're spending half of your distraction time early? No, thank you. You don't even do that. You go in here. That was not worth anything, really. No, this is not how we enter fights. We don't go like, let me go like this. I mean, this is also why you wouldn't have retreated into your team like this. Because now you're going like this, you're entering the fight from the front, you're turning on them and opening yourself to get shot in the back by the Hanzo that's right here. We do not like this. We do not like this at all. Was that sonar arrow? Let's take a look. Tip of the spear. Yeah. So we got a sonar there, which is exactly what I expected, but a sonar there didn't bother me because I wasn't worried about, like, the Hanzo already knew he was there. He just needed to still stay behind cover.
It's hand.
Getting rezzed. Oh, look, there's a tracer leading her team that we can easily shoot in the side. Now the back. Oh, she got a bubble. She didn't know she was going to get that bubble.
I will not fail.
Yeah.
I could use some assistance.
I shall seize the payload safely.
Down to the count.
Enemy, my friend.
Fire like will.
Obviously, we wanted to make sure there was something in the grab, first of all.
Protect the payload.
But, heck. I don't need you pushing card, I need you taking angles. Good. Get flank control. Get flank control. This is good. Crosshair should be a little higher. This is not where people's heads show up. I know you're gonna uncrouch, but it's still not gonna be where people's heads show up.
My ultimate target.
You had to adjust. Leave.
Thank you.
Right back up. You did not need to blink in. You could have walked.
Onwards to victory.
Good. Fine. Interesting decision to go after that Torb turret with your HP how it was. Fine. Mini.
Much better.
You didn't blink. Good. Okay. Bring it into round 3. Val does not simply work on advancing from cover to cover. Have to add in retarget beam mid-fight, plus manipulate mercy hitbox mid-flight, plus gather intel mid-fight, plus maximize movement options. That's how I lost 400 SR. Yeah. Yeah. You like to load a lot up on your plate. Learn how to play like Diamond Mercy to get into plat? I mean, sure.
Try not to get yourselves killed out
Tip of the
there.
spear. My thought was to blink against the wall, so he'd think you blinked away, but sonar arrow would reveal the bluff. Ah, yes. No, I assumed that there was going to be a sonar arrow there.
There's nothing I haven't seen before. Stick together. We will complete our mission.
Hey,
Okay, now we're playing some soldier. More hit scan works for me.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Don't challenge the Widow. Good. Why are you dropping? Are you just that worried about the Widow? Like, you know she grappled up late, so you know her grapple's on cooldown, so she can't transition to above theater yet. You're good. Don't need to drop yet.
always too early.
Are you gonna go control hotel now because you don't want to fight Widow?
30 seconds remaining.
Good.
They must not get past.
That's a lot of yawns. Dang.
10 seconds remaining.
It's almost over.
Bad guys, heads up.
You can deepen it. This is appropriate. Good. She won't advance. You're fine. Sure.
I am on fire! Everyone follow me!
Round
Okay.
complete. Score.
When Val gets an everything bagel, she goes to the buffet and puts everything on the bagel. Yeah, that's a fair take.
Initiate.
If you had a PO box, we could send you whatever caffeinated tea Val suggested. I get that. I do.
Ready for battle. Ready for battle. Ready for
Thanks.
4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Sure. Rotate. Okay, you heal station and fight this. That's fine.
Walk is off.
You chase him. You do chase him. Yeah, you didn't want him to get that roll off. Too slow to press I need healing there. So, there's a couple things that go wrong here. This is fine. He can't win. You're good. I know what you're doing here. You're thinking, hey, I want to reload, and I understand wanting to reload in the heal station, but you actually don't want him to get speed or space on you. So, like, you wanted to push up here to not have him be able to build up roll speed against you. Now, it's hard. We should not stay here. We should absolutely sprint up here and make this challenging.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Whatever. Really seems like there's a ball in every game. Well, I mean, a lot of ball in Owl 2 in some ways, so we gotta... We're seeing more of it.
Enemy turret
We're
ahead.
certainly seeing more of it. Why? So you're here. You go through here. You don't like the sim turret, but that's an easy solve. You can just shoot it. And then you play from here. And you can take out whoever you want. No problem. Why are you out here? Why are you here? This is good. Play from here. Do your work. Take out Adam. You can open it if you need to take out the turret, but it's not time to take out the turret yet. You're not shooting at the turret. Sure, that was better. Take turns ordering cake. Temporal gets a different cake every day. Yeah, I don't need that much cake, guys. I'm with Blah on this one. Temporal gets fat and has diabetes and blames us. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that would be my own lack of self-control issue, but you guys wouldn't be helping.
Victory.
Okay. So... Okay, we have your soldier here. We can deal with your soldier. You didn't need to drop for that widow as early as you did. I'd have liked you to transition into hotel faster on defense because you didn't want to fight the widow on long open sight lines, and it wasn't seriously being held by other people, so you could have held it, forced shorter sight lines where she wasn't as effective. I also would have liked you to deal with the ball through here better than you did. That's fine. Ultimately, this transition was fine. I don't know why you got so far from cover. But the majority of this match was spent on Tracer. And for Tracer, I really want you to think about first and second gear. I don't actually care if you frame it in that form, but basically first gear is when it's your first poke, first engage, first going in, first shots, whatever, of the engagement at your new location. It's the first push from a place. The enemies don't know where you are. They haven't been able to track you because it's the beginning of a fight. The first time you go in like this, most of the time, I want this to be you're seeking to eliminate someone. You can only actually eliminate someone 30% of the time. That's totally fine with me. And you shouldn't go in so hard that you actually get eliminated. But you should be pushing it hard enough that there's, maybe a 20, 30, 40, 50% chance that you eliminate someone, and you still shouldn't have a very high chance of getting eliminated yourself. So, go in harder when it's the beginning and they don't know that you're there. That's what we want. That's first gear type thing. Then second gear is, hey, they're aware that you're there. And you're going, I'm just going to bait attention, keep some of your attention on you, force some of your cooldowns, force you to certain places, maybe force you out of cover so that my soldier can shoot you, force you, towards my tank so that they can swing at you type thing. That's the safer play. That's the playing from the edges. That's the playing when you have less blanks. That's the playing when you have covers. That's the medium short range shots as opposed to the you almost got right up in their face, right up in their neck, and we're in that real, hey, I'm going to force eliminations thing. So I really want you to try more for this. Even if it performs poorly at first, that'll be because you're struggling with the super short range aim and them moving a little slides them wildly off your screen. But I don't think you're actually going to struggle with that much. When you pressure was on you and you had to get in a widow's face, you were perfectly willing to do that. So now do it when the pressure's not on you. Do it when they're not aware of you. Do that sort of thing. I know it's scary with Anna's because they're just going to throw that nade and it's going to hit you and you're like, I don't like this. This is lame. You're going to try to blink away from that. If you're going to try to react to that nade coming out even at point blank range and blink out of that. But I want that harder, hey, we're going for real here type thing when they're not yet aware of you. That's the first thing I want. But I want this at a timing. I want all of this at a timing when it's useful. I don't want you to go in hard to fight a Mercy Hanzo, for example, when it's just them and nothing else is going on. I only want you to go in hard, or to go in soft, really. More I only want you to go in hard when your team is providing an adequate distraction. And you have to pay more attention to your Reinhardt for that. You can see him through walls. You can see what he's doing. Oh, he's swinging his hammer. Oh, you hear sound effects that a charge is going off. Okay, the fight is probably more real. But I need you paying more attention using your Reinhardt as your context clue. He'll give you enough information to figure out what the rest of the fight is happening, where the other Reinhardt is, that sort of thing. I'm talking about the Reinhardt matchup because that's what you had here to work off of. Obviously, it's a little different if you have a Winston, if you have an Orisa, if you have a Ball. But, you need to be looking at your team a little more before going in. If they're not yet aware of you, that should be easy because you're not likely to suddenly just get spotted, especially at this level. You're not going to just get found out very often. People aren't going to come clear you all that often because they don't know what angles or flanks are themselves. A little bit. We're almost to plat here. But you can be like, hey, I know where my opponents are, but part of your scouting of your opponents is also, let me check back where my team is. I can see it. Let me judge that. Let me judge that. You don't want to actually start that engage until you see your team starting. You would like your Reinhardt to go first, because if you go first, you have to start in second gear, and you're never going to get up to first gear. I suppose it's backwards how I've named my gears. Whatever. If you go first, all you're ever going to do is be a pest, be a distraction. It might let your team get in easier. It might let your team get in cheaper. But even if you were to go first, you'd want to go just barely before your team there. And there were times, like when you went across up here with your Tracer, that was fine. You were helping your team rotate in. That's fine. You chose to do that. You chose to help your team get across a reasonably difficult place by giving up your first peak advantage to lessen the pressure on them. And that's totally fine. But most of the time, what we're looking for is hey, we go in hard that first time that they're not aware of us and try to force the elimination. If we don't get it and we have to blink to then sustain in the fight, or blink and then start playing a more passive thing around corners with cover, things like that, that's fine. But that's what we're doing, and we're going in when our team is an adequate distraction, preferably after a team has actually started being that distraction. And then the final piece about this engagement timing thing is you also just need to track the enemy spawns and your spawns better. This is lower priority for you, but you need to do it better because it gives you good insight of where the team fight is going to be. Do you need to be here, or do you need to be here? You can answer this question by figuring out, when did we spawn, where are we, when did they spawn, type thing. Okay, well, based on the amount of time, I would expect my team to be able to take this area, take this corner back. I want to be here. I want to be here. Oh, my team got wiped hard. My team's not going to make it back up to this corner. I need to be setting up here. Same thing for the rest of this. Do I have time to go around this way? Great. I want to go around this way. I want to go around this way. I do not want to blink through my Reinhardt to get into the fight. So those are the three things I'm going to give you. The first two are significantly more important than the third for you right now. Please work through those one at a time with 5 to 15% of your brain power. And we want to work on them until they sort of settle themselves into your autopilot, until they're automatic. We're trying to use your autopilot as a force for good here, so that you're not actively thinking about it, so you can move on to actively thinking about the next thing. That's what we want to do. That's how we want to build this step ladder to the top for you. Okay. We should give Temporal his 3 things to work on so he doesn't get fat from the cake. Funny, Enrique, funny. Then he can show us his martial arts training videos. Okay. Enrique says I only go in hard. Yeah. Nordstorm says, did you see that Tesla is making a humanoid robot? Kind of looks like Echo. So he finally has a girlfriend. And Val says I would rather buy an IRL Valkyrie suit or IRL nano boost shots. Okay. I didn't see that, Nordstorm. I did not see that. Maybe I'll go take a look, but I think we'll see where we're going there. I mean, it's getting it's getting interesting, the science fiction world that the world is moving into as time goes forward. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, some of the old school hard sci-fi stuff got some things right, got some things wrong. Some things just took a while to be proven right, but they're getting there. It'll be interesting. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you can throw them up in chat now. If you're enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you're looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below. See what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. I'll give you just a second or so to get any questions up there. Let's look up this Tesla humanoid robot real quick, just to do this. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Mark says Tesla. Musk says Tesla will make a humanoid robot next year. I don't love what I'm seeing options-wise here. Robot called Tesla Bot. I don't think we're actually going to get into this story. MSN has or Wired has a take that it's just a recruiting pitch potentially. Human robot prototype by next year. Was it just a recruiting pitch? Fine. Tesla Bot is an example of Musk's showmanship. Musk warned that the robot probably won't work. Okay. At least he's honest. We're also good at sensors and batteries, and we'll probably have a prototype next year that looks like this. I mean, it doesn't look that much like Echo. Yeah, they need to keep advancing their battery technology. Like, for electric vehicles to work, battery technology needs to keep evolving at a very fast pace. We need to push it forward a few more generations. Because right now we have too many cars that effectively are dead cars. Like, it's an electric vehicle, it works, and then after a decade or so, oops, it's gone. Or even less than a decade, oops, the battery just won't hold a charge. You can't go more than, say, 20 miles on it, and replacing the battery is effectively the equivalent to replacing the engine. It's a new car, which doesn't really work for people. So we're going to have to advance electric technology. We're going to have to continue to advance battery technology for some of this stuff to work. Was an actor, not a real robot. Tesla Bot will be real, but it might not work. Okay. Dominated headlines. Fine. When was this posted? This was 2 hours ago. Okay. This would further delay Tesla's promised cost reduction. Okay. Not all that interesting, but that's fine. Okay. Is there another VOD? I'll probably do another VOD, but I'm not seeing much that's interesting either. I'm not seeing a ton that's interesting right now in terms of VODs to review. You finally got Diamond Rank? Diamond Tank. Nice, Enrique. Nice. Val says, at Temporal, what is a good way to fight sitting down while the other guy is standing in front towering over you? What is a good way to fight sitting down while the other guy is standing in front? Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, you can... It's going to depend what you can get, but effectively, if you can go, hey, get a sleeve, get get a sleeve, get a wrist, something like that with your hand, and then kick out their opposite leg, and then they're going to fall on top of you, but they're going to fall on top of you in such a way that you can immediately put them in a guard, and you can flip them from a guard, or if you're good at working from guard, you can hit all sorts of submissions from guard. I'm okay with martial arts from guard. I'm much better from advantage, and that sort of happened because I am very, very good at takedowns. So transitions just never happened in such a way, or very rarely happened in such a way that I would end up on disadvantage where you might go defensive with guard, and you can hit tons. Like, guard is generally considered neutral in martial arts, truth be told, but like it's a step away from someone being on top, having advantage, etc. Again, it sort of depends what happens for how you do it. There are people who are very, very good at doing martial arts, doing grappling from guard position, and if you're sitting down, they're standing up, and they're close to you, the way to bring that match back to even would be to the closest transition to bring that back to even. If you can't just get up, if you can't just do you plant your say plant a hand and kick yourself backwards and up. If you're not going to do that, but instead want to bring it to the ground, guard is going to be the best neutral for you. Blah thought that that Nardstorm meant Tesla, the Overwatch streamer. Yeah, we got that. But people are still willing to pay top dollar for electric cars that are going to suck long term. Yeah. Kick his leg, stand up. No, no. I'm not good at takedowns if the other guy weighs more than me. Am I using structure wrong or just weak? No, it's rough. Takedowns. So when it comes to takedowns, there's two real ways to go about takedowns. So you can go. I'll use wrestling background for this, but effectively, this isn't necessarily how you do this for martial arts, but we'll go pure wrestling for this for a moment. And there's effectively two ways to go about. There's effectively two ways to go about takedowns. I don't know why he's picking his nose there. There's two ways to go about takedowns. There's takedowns that are more body takedowns, and those are going to end up using a tie-up type situation. And there's still leverage and such in a tie-up situation, but the reality is the person with greater upper body strength has a huge advantage in these situations. And this is why if you seriously get into, say, college wrestling, Olympic wrestling, the weight room absolutely matters. In high school wrestling, you can get to a very high level without doing a ton of serious weight training, just doing endurance weight training. But like if you're going for a higher level than this, it starts mattering because your takedowns from your takedowns, if they're going to be upper body, if they're going to be tie-up type takedowns, if they're going to be, hey, you're going to do throws type things, your upper body strength does matter. Again, I am not in any way saying that things like judo, where it's like, hey, we're going to use our opponent's strength against them, or things where we get into, like, all of this stuff could be done with leverage. But against another trained opponent who knows what they're doing and is resisting you and isn't going to just fall into your traps all the time, the upper body strength is huge. The other option that you have for takedowns is leg takedowns, where you go, okay, this person, instead of trying to, like, say, get control of their shoulder or go, hey, we're going to pop under your elbow and get behind you and trip you from behind, like, all of those are tie-up style takedowns. The other type of takedown that you'll run into is going to be leg takedowns, where maybe this person drops and goes in, like that, and you can think of it like a really, really low football tackle, but it's a really low one if you want. Or they drop, go in, maybe pick up a leg and trip their other leg type thing. Like, these would be more the leg-based takedowns. These do not require as much strength, but they require a lot of speed, and they require full commitment. It's the sort of thing where, like, if you really commit to it, if you really have practiced the motion and you really commit to it and you go, no, he's not going to sprawl and just land on me and just crush me. I'm going to be fast enough to get control of his legs, to get hooks on his legs before he gets out. If you really believe you're going to be fast enough, frequently you will be. If you're half-hearted and you're like scared that he's going to get the sprawl off and you're just going to get flattened under his weight when he comes down like that, that's probably what's going to happen. It sucks, but it is one of those things where it's like, if you go 100%, you can get it. If you go 90%, you're going to fail 90% of the time. If you go 100%, you'll get it, 70% of the time. If you go 90%, you'll fail 90% of the time in terms of how hard you commit to the leg takedown. But the leg takedown does not require the upper body strength, or against a trained opponent that some of the throws, tie-up type stuff does, etc. I would not recommend most women tie up. And a tie up is like, hey, maybe you're going to control their elbow or one of their arms and their neck type thing. That's what we are referring to when we're talking about a tie up. I would not recommend most women against a male opponent get involved in the tie up type takedowns. It's not a good matchup. The leg takedowns can absolutely make sense, but they're scary. They absolutely are scary. That said, if you're good at these leg type takedowns, you will bypass people's guards and you will immediately end up with side control, with mount. You can quickly transition that into an S mount. You can easily, at that point, if you have an S mount, you've already won the match. If you have a mount, you're in very, very good shape to win the match. If you have side control, you still definitely have advantage. So there's good things that you can do from there. The third option, and this is bad, but this is what some people do, is you go, aha. You could be like, I'm going to jump and then do mount, do mount where you tie up their legs around their waist and go, aha, you've got something like that. Or you're going to try to bait them into doing a leg takedown and then just trust that you're sprawl. So that would be you kicking your legs backwards as they go for a leg takedown, etc. But they're probably not going to go for a leg takedown if they have strength advantage on you. They're probably going to go for an upper body tie-up type takedown. So that's tough to do. So instead, you sort of force it into a guard situation like I talked about. And I don't really like that. I really think that you're better off going, hey, I'm going to get good at these, I'm going to get good at these takedowns where you go for the legs here. But if you're already on the ground, then yes, you'd go straight for a guard situation. Okay. Tase him, kick his legs, stand up and no. I'm not good at takedowns if the other guy weighs more than me. Am I using structure wrong or just weak? Yeah, I think I just answered that. So again, I would recommend the leg takedowns, and if those aren't an option, you just really don't have any speed, any practice for them, you should get it. But in the short term, I don't like jumping for a flying guard type thing. There's some people who are really guard specialists will do it. It's not particularly good, especially if it turns out you're on pavement, something like that. But the other option is, again, try to bait them into going for a leg type takedown. Really trust your sprawl or trust that you're going to get that guard, etc. You stick figure over the statue and that will take the statue down. And you just go down hard with those. Okay. It's really surprising. How does fighting change for each party if it's man versus woman? There's real strength differences. Like, there are real strength differences, especially in upper body, between those two parties. There's flexibility differences as well, and it changes a fair bit if you get to any level of equipment, weapon. The lower center of gravity, the better balance can make trained women quite scary when it comes to wielding things like swords, staves, things like that. That said, they really do have to be trained. If you go untrained, the superior strength that men will in general have, even if using something like a sword, a club, a stick, etc., will generally be in their favor. At very high levels of training, the lower center of gravity and the better balance gets does very, very good things with that. But again, that requires a high level of training for both parties. Well, it requires the very high level of training. Off the bat, that's sort of what you're looking at. There's a pretty huge strength differential. And for unarmed combat, I think we kind of covered it for unarmed combat. You're looking at hey, that difference in terms of strength is a really, really big deal. And training can absolutely overcome that difference in strength, not by making the woman stronger, but the training will overdo strength. But if you're both trained to a similar level, that advantage, if you're talking unarmed combat, is massive for men. It's massive, and it is the upper body strength. It is the grip strength. Men are going to recognize the strength differential, and usually they're going to force a tie-up type situation, like I was talking about up here, where it comes down to, hey, if they have any level of training, they're going to try to force it into an upper body type confrontation, and then from an upper body type confrontation, they can turn it into pretty easily into a throw, into side control, into whatever they want from there, and that's sort of going to do it. But against untrained opponents, trained women can be quite fine because training will go a long ways. But if they both have training and they both have moderate amounts of training, the difference is huge. And if you're looking at something where the woman has huge amounts of training and the guy has moderate amounts of training, again, that's going to be too big of a difference, and that's generally going to come out in the guy's favor if they're both serious, because the strength difference is very real. Temporal, any training tips to improve leg takedown speed? What exercises should I do? Practice. You literally should practice doing double leg takedowns. Do not fight into their advantage, sidestep it, and when using something else, right. Don't obviously go for the upper body tie-up, and don't let them have it either. I would practice double leg takedowns, and I would recommend you can practice it a little bit on just on a mat by yourself, etc. But ultimately, depending on what restrictions are like where you are, if you are at practicing at some dojo, etc., you are eventually going to have to get into practicing against real opponents to work on your speed and to just sort of get over that fear of them sprawling and landing on you and crushing you. It's pretty important to be able to understand, hey, you're going down and over, but you're not like laying down type thing. You're not like diving like that. Like your body should still, hey, as you go across with it, your chest should still be sort of up like that. I mean, I don't want to like it's not like puff out your chest, but it kind of is. It is like you still maintain. You can go down and over, but you should be upright enough when you go over. You go very low, but when you go over, your body can still be upright enough that if they do end up getting that sprawl off on you, they land on your shoulder and you still have a good pillar of support because you're still up and down like that. Your knees are super bent, but your back isn't like that. Your back is like that as you're going over, so that if they end up sprawled on you, they end up sprawled on your shoulder, and then you can pick them up on your shoulder and turn them and drop them on the ground if you have to. So a sprawl still isn't that scary to you. Okay. That's going to do it. We turned this into a bit of a takedown seminar, I suppose. But if you guys have any more questions, throw them up in chat now. Otherwise, we will move on to the next one, and I'll see what I can find. It may take a couple minutes, but I plan to do another one shortly here. Okay, that's going to do it. Thanks, guys.